Every great achievement begins with the way we start our morning. Most people wake up and immediately check their phones, scroll through social media, or get lost in messages and notifications. Before they realize it, their minds are already filled with distractions. But if your goal is to improve your English, the first few minutes of your morning can become one of the most powerful moments of your day. Imagine waking up and giving your mind something positive and productive instead of something distracting. When you start your day with English, you are sending a message to your brain that learning and growth are important. You don't need an hour. You don't need expensive courses. You only need a few focused minutes and a commitment to be consistent. The moment you wake up, pick up a simple English quote, a short article, a motivational sentence, or even a few lines from a book. Read them slowly. Don't rush. Pay attention to the words. Notice how the sentences are formed. Let your mind absorb the language naturally. At first, you may not understand everything, and that is perfectly fine. Growth does not come from knowing everything. Growth comes from showing up every day and taking one small step forward. Many people believe that learning English requires long study sessions. But the truth is that consistency is more powerful than intensity. 5 minutes every morning for an entire year can create a bigger transformation than studying for hours once in a while. Small actions repeated daily create extraordinary results. When you read English in the morning, your brain becomes familiar with the language. New words stop feeling strange. Common sentence patterns become natural. Gradually, English begins to feel less like a subject and more like a part of your everyday life. This is exactly how confidence is built. Confidence is not something you suddenly gain. It grows through daily exposure and practice. I want you to remember something important. Do not compare your beginning to someone else's success. Every fluent English speaker was once a beginner. Every confident communicator once struggled to find the right words. The difference is that they continued showing up day after day, even when progress felt slow. So tomorrow morning, before the world demands your attention, give a few minutes to yourself and your growth. Open something in English. Read a few lines. Learn one new idea. Let those few minutes become an investment in the person you want to become. The habit may seem small today, but one day you will look back and realize that these simple morning moments changed the way you think, speak, and communicate with the world. Start your day with English, and your future self will thank you for it. Now that you have started your day with English, there is another simple habit that can completely transform your speaking skills. It may sound surprisingly easy, but its impact is powerful. Every morning, speak 5 lines to yourself. Most people spend years learning grammar, memorizing vocabulary, and watching English videos, yet they still struggle to speak confidently. Do you know why? Because language is not learned only by listening and reading. Language becomes a part of you when you start using it. The biggest mistake many learners make is waiting for the perfect moment to speak. They think they need more vocabulary, better grammar, or more confidence before they begin. But confidence is not something you get before speaking. Confidence is something you develop by speaking. Every morning, stand in front of a mirror or simply sit quietly and talk to yourself in English. It doesn't matter if your sentences are simple. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. What matters is that you begin. You can say things like, "Good morning. Today is going to be a productive day." Or, "Today I want to improve my English." Or even, "I will stay focused on my goals." These are simple sentences, but they train your brain to think and communicate in English. Many people feel nervous speaking English in front of others because they are afraid of being judged. But when you speak to yourself, there is no pressure. There is no audience. There is no fear. It is just you giving yourself permission to practice. And sometimes, the most important conversations are the ones we have with ourselves. Think about it. Athletes train before competitions. Musicians practice before performances. Why should speaking English be any different? Those 5 lines every morning are your daily training session. They prepare your mind to use English naturally throughout the day. At first, you may pause often, you may search for words, you may repeat yourself. That is completely normal. Every learner experiences this stage, but something remarkable happens when you continue. Your thoughts begin to form more quickly. Your vocabulary becomes easier to access. The hesitation starts to disappear. Gradually, speaking English becomes less of a challenge and more of a habit. What makes this practice so powerful is that it does more than improve your language skills. It also strengthens your self-belief. Every morning, when you hear yourself speaking English, you are proving to yourself that progress is possible. You are reminding yourself that growth happens through action, not perfection. Remember, fluency is not built in a single day. It is built sentence by sentence, conversation by conversation, and habit by habit. Those 5 simple lines may seem small today, but they are laying the foundation for the confident English speaker you are becoming. Speak to yourself every morning, and one day you will speak confidently to the world. As you continue building your morning routine, there is another habit that may seem small, but has the power to create extraordinary results over time. Every morning, learn 5 new English words. Just 5, not 50, not 100. 5 words that you can understand, remember, and use. Many people become overwhelmed when they try to learn English because they focus on how much they do not know. They look at fluent speakers and think they need thousands of words before they can communicate confidently. But language learning is not about mastering everything at once. It is about making steady progress every single day. The secret is not learning more. The secret is learning consistently. Imagine learning 5 new words every day. At first, it may not sound impressive. But let us think about it differently. 5 words a day become 35 words a week, more than 150 words a month, nearly 2,000 words in a year. And those are not just words on a page. They are tools that help you express your thoughts, share your ideas, and connect with people around the world. The goal is not simply to memorize words. The goal is to make them a part of your daily language. When you learn a new word, write it down. Understand its meaning. Then create a sentence using that word. The moment you use a word in your own sentence, it becomes easier to remember because your brain connects it with a real situation. For example, if you learn the word confident, do not stop at the definition. Use it in a sentence such as, I feel confident when I practice English every day. If you learn the word opportunity, you might say, learning English gives me more opportunities in life. This simple practice helps transform vocabulary into communication. Many learners make the mistake of collecting words like trophies. They fill notebooks with hundreds of unfamiliar terms, but rarely use them. Language is not about collecting words. It is about using words. A small vocabulary that you actively use is far more powerful than a large vocabulary that remains forgotten. And remember, do not be discouraged if you forget some words. Forgetting is a natural part of learning. Every time you review a word, your memory becomes stronger. Every time you use it again, that word moves closer to becoming a permanent part of your vocabulary. What matters most is consistency. 5 words may seem insignificant today, but success is often hidden inside small daily habits. The strongest buildings are built 1 brick at a time. The longest journeys are completed 1 step at a time. In the same way, English fluency is built 1 word at a time. So every morning, challenge yourself to learn 5 new words. Write them down. Speak them aloud. Use them in sentences. Carry them with you throughout the day. Because every new word you learn gives you another way to express yourself, another way to understand the world, and another step toward becoming the confident English speaker you want to be. 5 words a day can change the way you communicate for a lifetime. By now, you have started your day with English, spoken a few lines to yourself, and learned new words that expand your vocabulary. The next step is something that many successful language learners do every day, without even realizing how powerful it is. Listen to English while getting ready in the morning. One of the reasons children learn languages so naturally is because they hear them constantly. Before they ever speak a word, they spend months listening. They hear sounds, expressions, sentence patterns, and pronunciation over and over again. Slowly, their brains begin to recognize the language. The same principle applies when learning English as an adult. The more you listen, the more familiar the language becomes. Think about your morning routine. You may be brushing your teeth, preparing breakfast, getting dressed, or commuting to work or school. These moments are often spent doing tasks that do not require your full attention. Instead of allowing that time to pass without purpose, turn it into an opportunity for growth. Play an English podcast, a motivational speech, a short lesson, or even a simple conversation. Let English become the background sound of your morning. Many people believe they must understand every word they hear. That belief often creates frustration. The truth is, you do not need to understand everything. Focus on understanding the main idea. Listen to the rhythm of the language. Pay attention to how words connect together. Notice the pronunciation and the natural flow of sentences. Every time you listen, your brain is learning, even when you do not realize it. At first, some recordings may sound too fast. You may miss words or feel confused. That is completely normal. Remember, progress is not measured by perfection. Progress is measured by exposure. The more English you hear, the easier it becomes to understand. What feels difficult today will feel familiar tomorrow if you keep listening consistently. One of the greatest benefits of listening is that it improves your pronunciation. When you repeatedly hear native and fluent speakers, your brain begins to store the correct sounds. Without consciously trying, you start copying the way words are pronounced. Your accent becomes clearer, your speech becomes smoother, and your confidence begins to grow. Listening also introduces you to expressions that textbooks often cannot teach. You hear how people actually communicate in real life. You learn natural phrases, common responses, and everyday vocabulary that make your English sound more authentic and conversational. But perhaps the most powerful thing listening does is change your relationship with the language. Instead of seeing English as something you study only when you open a book, it becomes something that is present in your daily life. It becomes familiar. And when something becomes familiar, it becomes less intimidating. So, tomorrow morning, while you are getting ready for your day, let English accompany you. Allow your ears to absorb new sounds, new ideas, and new expressions. Do it consistently even when it feels like progress is slow. Because every minute you spend listening is helping your brain build the foundation for better speaking, better understanding, and greater confidence. What you listen to every morning eventually becomes the voice of your confidence. As we continue building this powerful morning routine, there is one habit that brings everything together. You have read English, spoken a few lines to yourself, learned new vocabulary, and listened to English while getting ready. Now it is time to actively practice speaking for at least 10 minutes every morning. Many people spend years studying English, yet they still hesitate when it is time to speak. They understand grammar rules, they recognize vocabulary, they can even understand videos and books, but when someone asks them a simple question in English, they become nervous. Their minds go blank and they struggle to express themselves. This happens because speaking is a skill, and like every skill, it improves through practice. Imagine someone who wants to become a great swimmer. They can read books about swimming. They can watch videos about swimming. They can learn every technique in theory. But until they enter the water, they will never truly become a swimmer. English works the same way. You cannot become a confident speaker by only learning about English. You become confident by speaking English. That is why I encourage you to dedicate 10 minutes every morning to speaking practice. Find a quiet place. Stand in front of a mirror if you can. Look at yourself and begin speaking. Talk about your plans for the day. Describe your goals. Share your thoughts. Speak about something you learned recently. The topic does not matter as much as the habit itself. At first, your sentences may be simple. You may repeat the same words. You may make grammatical mistakes. Please do not let that discourage you. Every fluent speaker in the world started with simple sentences. Nobody begins with perfection. Growth happens when you allow yourself to be a beginner. One of the biggest obstacles to learning English is the fear of making mistakes. Many people stay silent because they want every sentence to be perfect. But silence never creates fluency. Mistakes are not proof that you are failing. They are proof that you are learning. Every mistake teaches you something valuable. Every attempt makes you stronger. When you practice speaking daily, something incredible begins to happen. Your brain starts organizing English more naturally. Words come to your mind faster. Sentences become smoother. You spend less time translating from your native language and more time thinking directly in English. This is one of the most important milestones in language learning. The mirror can become one of your greatest teachers. It allows you to observe your expressions, your confidence, and your communication style. Over time, you will notice that you stand taller, speak more clearly, and feel more comfortable expressing yourself. The person looking back at you will no longer be someone who is afraid to speak English. It will be someone who is growing stronger every single day. Remember, 10 minutes may seem insignificant compared to the rest of your day. But 10 minutes of focused practice every morning can create a transformation that years of hesitation never will. Small actions repeated consistently become powerful habits, and powerful habits create extraordinary results. The voice you practice today becomes the confidence the world hears tomorrow. As we reach the final of morning routine, I want to talk about a habit that is often overlooked but has the power to multiply all your efforts. Throughout the morning, you have read English, spoken to yourself, learned new vocabulary, listen to English content, and practice speaking. But if you want these activities to create lasting results, there is one final step you must never ignore. Review and use what you have learned. Many people learn something new today and completely forget it tomorrow. They watch lessons, memorize words, and take notes, but after a few days, much of that knowledge disappears. This does not happen because they are incapable of learning. It happens because information that is not reviewed is often forgotten. Learning is not just about taking in new knowledge. Learning is about keeping that knowledge alive. Think of your mind like a garden. Every new word, phrase, and expression is a seed. Planting the seed is important, but if you never water it, it will never grow. Reviewing is the water that helps those seeds become strong and lasting. Without review, many valuable lessons fade away. With review, they become part of who you are. At the end of your morning routine, take a few minutes to go back over what you learned. Look at the 5 new words you studied. Repeat them aloud. Read the sentences you created. Think about where you can use those words during the day. If you listen to a podcast or a speech, try to remember one useful phrase or idea that stood out to you. If you practice speaking, recall the topics you discussed and challenge yourself to express them more clearly. The goal is not simply to remember information. The goal is to use it. Language becomes powerful only when it moves from your notebook into your conversations. A word you use becomes a word you own. A phrase you speak becomes a phrase you remember. Every time you apply what you have learned, your confidence grows. One of the greatest mistakes learners make is constantly searching for new information while ignoring what they already know. They jump from one lesson to another, from one video to the next, believing that success comes from learning more. But often, success comes from using what you have already learned. Mastering a few hundred useful words is far more valuable than memorizing thousands that you never use. I also want you to understand that progress is not always visible. Some days you may feel as if you are not improving. Some days you may forget words or struggle to express yourself. Do not let those moments discourage you. Growth is happening beneath the surface, just as roots grow before a tree becomes visible. Every review session strengthens those roots. When you consistently review and use what you learn, English stops being something you study and starts becoming something you live. It becomes a natural part of your thoughts, your conversations, and your daily experiences. And that is when true transformation begins. What you review today becomes the confidence you carry into tomorrow.